What's going on, Club Dub fans? We are back with another episode, and we got some OTAs to talk about. A lot of things to talk about in this next episode. I hope you guys enjoyed that video via the Great Chicago Bears media team, putting together a little minute video of some of the rookies and everybody getting together for the first couple of days of OTAs. The optional training is here. We're about 100 days till kickoff. I saw Chris Collinsworth tweet something out a couple days ago. We're getting really close to tip-off. Look at me. I got NBA playoffs on the brain. Getting really close to kickoff, a couple months out. And how are we feeling? How's everything been the last couple weeks, guys?
Great. Football is kind of back, except it's somewhat back, I should say. And excited about it.
No doubt. I mean, the best prospect is fans are going to be back in the stands. It looks like the hype's going to be much, much higher than it was last year because of this. And, it's fun to get excited about it.
Have you guys ever been to training camp before? Or I know you can't go right now to like OTAs or anything. But have you guys ever done anything like that? I've never been. I've always wanted to go. I just feel like it'd be fun. It's a good way to get to meet the players. Eric, have you been?
Yeah, I've been a couple of times. The things that stood out was how well organized they tend to be. The fans have free reign to, just roam around and stuff. They had plenty of space, and, the thing that stood out the most to me was the heat. I mean, it surprised me how hot it could be down there sometimes. And you really needed to make sure you were hydrated, because I came away with some nasty dehydration headaches a couple of times when I was down there.
Man.
You're just drinking too much.
I don't drink, actually.
Oh, well, all right. Well, yeah, hey, well, you know what? That's fine. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about.
That's great. Fantastic. Headaches followed by something else entirely then.
let's just change topics. We're still getting to know each other here. It's our 7th episode. It's like I don't even know you guys at all. But anyway, yeah, we're talking OTAs. OTAs are underway here. A lot of cool things that we saw this week. And again, that video the Bears put together that I just played to start things out was really neat. I want to talk about some of the players that we saw and we didn't see right away. Guys, if you're just joining us, welcome to Club Dub. We are presented by sportsmockery.com. Kevin hosted with Drew and Eric here. We're talking about OTAs. We're going to talk about Justin Fields again. Get used to hearing that name a lot before the season starts. It's obviously going to be the big point of emphasis. But, guys, the players that we saw there, I saw Andy Dalton. I saw Darnell Mooney. I saw Roquan Smith. The Bears actually put out a couple photos of these guys. Let me pull up a couple right now. But we saw a lot of the big name guys on offense, but we didn't really see, we didn't see Allen Robinson. You surprised by that?
Not really. I mean, you expected him to probably sit it out because of the contract situation. The date that you're going to really want to be looking at is the start of training camp. If he's not there by then you know that the situation is much more serious than, we probably understood it to be. But I do expect he'll be there for training camp. He's just, flexing whatever leverage he does have to sit out right now.
They've got until July 15th to get that contract done. So there's no way he's going to be putting himself in any danger that he doesn't already have to. So I'm not surprised by that at all.
No, I'm not either. We didn't see Khalil Mack there either. I mean, those guys, they know they're good enough. They know the playbook. They know what they're running. And I'm not worried about those guys in the slightest. But you're right. Yeah, July 15th is going to be the big day. Just over a month away for that to see if they can lock up something long term. We've heard no rumblings on that whatsoever. I've heard no reports. I've heard nobody whispering in my ear. Eric, you anything?
Everything I've heard regarding Allen Robinson hasn't really changed much. The two sides are still apart in terms of the final, per year amount. And, obviously these sort of things can change in a dime really fast, depending on how the team feels, depending on how the receiver feels. So it's a question of, as the deadline approaches, are the two sides going to be more motivated to get a deal done? Because deadlines tend to do that. And this is going to be the Bears' last, probably best chance to lock him up to a long-term deal before they have to start worrying about next year and him becoming a free agent.
What can they afford to pay him right now?
Well, technically, in terms of salary cap, if they can get him done with a long-term extension, they can lower his 2021 cap, considerably. I would wager around $10 to $12 million lower than where it's at right now, which I believe is like $17.98 million on the tag.
Yeah.
So, that's not the issue, because they can just push that into the later years, and knowing him, he'll still be an asset, 2-3 years down the road. So they shouldn't be worried about that. So it's just a question of reaching that common ground on a per year basis, which is what they're separate on. But we don't know what that number is. How much does Robinson want? Is it 21 million per year? How much do the Bears want? Is it more closer to what was reported, a few months ago, 17 million per year or so? So there's a lot of information we just don't have on this situation, which kind of what makes it so frustrating for fans.
Yeah, and you're right. And go ahead, Drew.
I was just going to say, at this point, I don't know how motivated Robinson really might be to get a deal done. I know that we feel, as people who cover the team, and probably fans do as well, that there might be extra motivation now that the Bears have someone in Justin Fields as the future of the franchise. And, this could be the best quarterback he's ever played with and all that kind of stuff. Maybe, but at the same time, he probably feels relatively disrespected. And look, I'm not going to fault the Bears. I know a lot of people are like, oh my God, what are the Bears doing? Dragging their feet. Like, this is Allen Robinson. I don't blame the Bears. Like, wide receiver is a very, I know Allen Robinson is great, but it's a very replaceable position in today's NFL. So I don't blame them that much. But, at this point, maybe the Bears aren't necessarily as motivated. Maybe Robinson is more desperate. And maybe the Bears will approach July 15th and be like, you know what? Let's play the season out. Next season, there's plenty of wide receivers who are supposed to become free agents as well that are, as good or just a notch below Robinson's level. So why commit, 18 to 20 million a year on Robinson when you can get someone else, for 14, 15, 16 million. So I don't blame him.
I totally am with you on that. I'm going to look up the NFL free agent wide receivers next year, because I think that that's totally the case. For once in my life, I agree with you, Truth. I honestly,
Jay Cutler tweet before this show.
Yeah, I hopped on you on that because I couldn't believe you. We're past Jay Cutler, man. We gotta start looking at the new content. Jay Cutler's the old content. You really want to bring up a guy who won one playoff game in a Bears uniform? Come on.
You might think of him as new content, but he lives forever right here.
Hey, respect the grind. He's trying to get half of Kristen Cavallari's company in the divorce. Mad props. Go get your bag, dude. That'd be awesome. Wow. How the turntables. She was trying to get half of his. Now he's like, wait a minute. But anyway, no, I'm looking up like NFL free agent wide receivers. Just some that pop up next year. Let me get up the list here, because honestly, if the Bears aren't in a place where their offense is, if they're in a place where Fields doesn't need a number one right off the bat, if he's good enough with Darnell Mooney and Anthony Miller, because that could very well be the case, like they could wait, figure out some other contracts, and then go find a guy who's cheaper, which is exactly what I think that they might do. I'm looking at the top free agent wide receivers in 2021. Larry Fitzgerald, Golden Tate, Alshon Jeffrey, Dede Westbrook, Damiere Byrd, Isaiah Ford, Des Bryant, Laquan Treadwell, DeAnthony Thomas, Marquise Lee. Not a lot of great names in there. I like Dede Westbrook a lot with Jacksonville. He'd probably be my favorite in that list. I'm sure there's some others. I think, did Antonio Brown sign a one-year deal too with Tampa?
Yeah.
So he'd be in there too. I'm sure there's a few others, but I think they're going to wait it out. I really do. It all depends on how number one plays. It's going to be catered to him. He's going to be playing at some point this year. And then depending on the skill set and the type of wide receivers he wants, Fields could be like, hey, let's go out and get somebody even better. So I agree. I think they'll wait till next year. I don't think they get a deal. Speaking of number one, he's been named number 2 on the depth chart. That was the biggest news that came out today. Matt Nagy is talking to the media. Basically had a heart-to-heart with Nick Foles. Said, "Hey man, you're done. You're going to be the quarterback room whisperer, and you're just going to help out Fields this year. You're going to be his water boy." With all due respect to Nick Foles, I mean that, and he seemed to take. He's getting paid a ton of money to not get injured, so I'm sure he's okay with it. But yeah, pretty cool. Fields is going to play with the number 2 team in OTAs. I think this will really help him.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, this was expected. I mean, the Bears have been on message about that from the beginning, from the moment he was drafted. Andy Dalton's going to be the starter. He's going to get the number 1 reps in camp, and they haven't deviated from that message. So what they revealed, today with Matt Nagy wasn't a huge surprise at all. It's just, sticking to the plan. In regards to Foles, he'll still get some reps, and, he's well compensated, but it's not like they haven't tried to get him somewhere else where he might have a better chance to play. It's just nobody's been willing to trade for him at this point. Could that change? Absolutely. You never know. Somebody might get injured, or maybe the Jets come calling if they're looking for somebody with a little more experience, which they currently don't have. Anything can happen in the next couple of months. So keeping him right now makes sense. They don't have to feel pressed to cut him for any particular reason, and having that extra depth is never a bad thing.
Yeah, none of this is surprising, right? I mean, the writing was on the wall as soon as Justin Fields was taken, and quite honestly, once Andy Dalton was signed. So, not surprised. Justin Fields should be number 2. I think, as Eric was saying, this is per plan. What I think is interesting, though, is like Nick Foles has been there every day, but now Matt Nagy said today that he's out with he's dealing with something in his personal life, apparently. I don't know. Maybe this might lead to a mutual release at some point. If it's something that lingers, that's something to maybe watch. If this is something that drags on throughout the year, Foles may not be as involved as the Bears want him to be or hope that he could be, and they may have to go searching for depth at number 3 if needed. But something to monitor. But we'll see what happens there. But as far as number 1 and number 2 in the depth chart goes, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I'm definitely not surprised either. And I honestly think, Eric, you covered it earlier this week. The Bears are going to give him a fair shot to compete for that number 1 job. That's not a surprise either. We've been talking about that for the last month. And I still think Andy Dalton starts week 1. I think we're all in agreement on that. But I do think he will start at some point this year. And again, this is going to be the ongoing conversation. Everyone thinks a different thing. Everyone says, "Oh, let him sit." Or I know Jay Cutler was saying, "Let him sit." He'll learn a lot. Jay Cutler talked on ESPN 1000 with he was on with Waddle and Silva, and he talked about how much he enjoys Matt Nagy as a coach, but how it would be beneficial for Fields to sit. Depending on who you ask, Cutler had some success as a quarterback. So you trust what he says. And a lot of other guys have weighed in on it. And truth be told, I think the Bears will make the right decision with him. I love that he's already been given the number 2 spot, though. I think that's big for his confidence. Another thing we saw, the other big injury or the other big news out of camp today, Daz Newsome, man. I broke his collarbone. Bummer. Complete break, which is a good thing with collarbones because it'll give it a chance. It's not a slight break, and they were just able to do surgery on it and put it back together. He was in a sling on the sideline today. He's done, obviously, for the next few months, but Nagy did say that he'll be back in time for training camp to start. Tough blow, man. I know that he's not really competing for a 1, 2, or 3 wide receiver role on this team. But either way, he was fun to talk to, and he seemed like a really bright spot, and I feel for him. I really do.
Total absolute bummer. Definitely someone who brings a lot of infectious energy. Tariq Cohen type of player. Both Nagy and Ryan Pace have mentioned his personality. So hopefully that can still continue to shine as far as the locker room trait goes. But this is an opportunity for him. Obviously, being injured, it really sucks. But if he can continue to invest himself in the playbook and learn the offense and learn what he needs to do, that'll be huge. It's unfortunate he won't really be able to participate in any special teams play as part of training camp or OTAs, because that was where he was probably going to make his earliest mark, especially on punt returns. But this is opportunity now to just focus on the offense, focus on the scheme and what his assignments would be, and maybe training camp comes around and all of a sudden he's supplanting. I don't want to say he would be supplanting Anthony Miller, but there's a chance he can compete. So he just has to be mentally ready. It's hard for wide receivers to come in and learn some of the details. I think we've seen some folks struggle with it, like Anthony Miller and Riley Ridley. So hopefully he's able to pick it up over the next couple of months and be ready to go. But yeah, it's unfortunate for his development. I mean, going from college to the NFL and not being able to use this time, to really bulk up or work out because he's injured, that might hurt him a little bit physically. But at least hopefully mentally he's able to catch up.
No doubt. I mean, Daz was one of my favorite picks, and I was really looking forward to seeing him. But, timing is everything in this sort of thing. So if you were going to suffer this kind of injury, probably better for it to happen now than later. So him suffering that injury now, but still being available for training camp, the start of training camp, is probably pretty important. So he'll still get all the necessary reps he's probably going to need to be ready. And then there's also going to be the preseason. So he'll still have his opportunities to make an impression and possibly, earn some playing time, be it on special teams or offense. So, it's an unfortunate setback, but it's not a particularly huge one for him, provided he takes advantage of the rehab properly.
Yeah, it was kind of funny to hear Nagy talk. I was listening to his presser today, and it was funny. He goes like, "Yeah, Daz went down, but man, he's tough as nails. He literally got back up and wanted to, he wanted to keep going. It's like, oh, dude, your shoulder, it's out of its socket. It's come on, we gotta go check that out. So I love the energy. I loved hearing things like that. Classic football guy, right? Oh, I'm not hurt. My knee may be in 4 pieces, but I'll play. What'd you say?
They build them different in Virginia, I guess.
Guess so. I'm not from Virginia. I'm from Illinois. I'm not built any different. You know what I said this weekend when I was having some beers with some of my friends. They were all in town, and it was funny. We were at the Cubs game, and we were just talking about these guys are insane. Like a couple of these relief pitchers on the Reds were 6'8", and I was just like, man. I just wish I will come back in my next life built that way. I'd come back in my next life built as a football player. That'd be kind of fun, right? I think I've earned it. Being 5'8", But little side note here. How about those Cubbies, huh? Man,
Hell yeah.
How about those Cubbies?
Very exciting. Craig Kimbrell.
Right? Where did it come from? Seriously, this is awesome. I'm all about it.
The offense
Sometimes you just catch fire at a certain point and you just keep going. And once you find it, you just want to stay in that zone as much as you can. And the Cubs are playing well, not just on one side of things, but they're playing well all around the bend, pitching, hitting, it's all clicking. And the fact that they're doing it with their health situation makes it all the more impressive, especially against the array of opponents they've been playing lately. So this is a great sign for them as they, approach the stretch drive. And if they can continue to get healthy and continue to play with this sort of, energy and confidence, they're not going to be a team you want to play, come October.
Yeah, very exciting.
No, definitely not. Also, Southside Zoe, is Zoe as handsome in person as he seems on Twitter? No, I don't know. I've never met you, Matt. I'm sure you are. I do appreciate your Twitter. You're probably pretty handsome. I'll give it to you.
Overrated.
He is a Sox fan, so I don't know how I feel about that. It's funny because Sox Twitter's been going off on the Cubs lately about not getting as much attention. It's like I feel like the Michael Jordan security guard.
Did you see that tweet from the Cubs where it was a Sox beat writer said Liam Hendricks said something about, man, we have to work 6 times as hard to get any attention, but the North Side sneezes and they get attention. And then the Cubs Twitter account responded and was like, Sox player tweets about the Cubs or says something about the Cubs, gets national attention.
Yeah, and guess what? It did. It did get national attention. Anyway, it's so good. I'm excited. I'm excited for that. Hopefully we'll be watching. That was the best. Like when I could watch, Bears games on Sunday, and then I had, Cubs playoff baseball in October too.
Let's get back to that. Yeah, that'd be good.
Be great. They're certainly on their way. Second best record in May. All right. Well, let's get back to Bears talk here. We're not trying to steal pin. By the way, check them out if you don't know them. Oh, you lost me there for a second. Go ahead and check them out. Pinwheels and Ivy podcast. If you don't listen to them already, and then you can also find us on Twitter right now at Club Dub Podcast. We are presented by SportsMockery.com. And without further ado, we got a fun segment coming your way. A lot of people like to gamble, and we got our gambling expert coming in from SportsMockery.com, Matty Betts. What's up, Matt? How you doing, man?
How's it going, guys? You having a fun night so far?
Yeah, man. Can't wait to have you on. You gotta teach me how to win money because I lost a bunch of money this weekend. So I need to get going. I've lost a lot of money, so you gotta help me out. What are we looking at for the Bears?
Gotta help you out. All right. Well, it depends on how you feel about the Bears this season, honestly. Most experts in Vegas right now pretty much have the Bears as like a middle kind of tier team, middle to below average type of team around Vegas. The win total right now is sitting at about 7.5. So that is, not the greatest thing in the world, but it's kind of expected when you take a look at their schedule and how tough it is. I mean, it's going to be, an absolute doozy of a schedule we're talking about here, especially in the middle section. It's going to be tough for the Bears. But at 7.5, it would be tough for me to go under that because with the expanded schedule and everything like that, it would be kind of tough for me to go under because I think this team does have the talent to be able to go over that. But really, it's just on your instincts. How do you feel the Bears are going to do this season? Do you think Justin Fields is going to come in sooner rather than later, or do you think he's actually going to be sitting for most of the season?
Yeah, no, and you're 100% right on all that. I think that a lot of it depends on that. I pulled up my I use FanDuel because I'm cool. Eric and Drew don't use anything, so we got to get them on that. But I'm looking at week 1 right now. Bears Rams. Bears are 7-point dogs. Again, that's the Sunday night game on September 12th. Have you placed any bets, Matt, on the Bears yet? Have you bet on that game already? Have you taken that line? Have you looked at their odds to win the North potentially? Have you looked at anything like that? And what are some of your favorites?
For sure. I actually have bet the Bears week 1 game already. I've actually placed a few bets in week 1, and I've placed a bunch of Super Bowl futures as well. But let's get into the Bears week 1 game here. So as you said, the Rams are favored by 7 points. That's in Los Angeles. The Bears are going to be coming into this game as pretty large underdogs. If you take the Bears on the money line, it's plus 235. So that's pretty good on the money line there if you think the Bears can go and steal a win in Los Angeles. But the bet I already placed is, I know, I'm a Bears fan. I got the Bears going on here, Bears, everything. I bet Rams -7 in this game. Now, I know.
All right, it's cool. Nice to meet you, Matt. We're going to
I'm 100% with you, actually. So,
talk to you later. Hey, no, we'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
Drew, have you bet them too? I know you didn't bet it, but you're taking the Rams?
Okay. I'm out.
I would have to. I'll take the Rams, yeah. Man, look. Okay, look. All I got to say is this. You put a top 6 to 7 quarterback in the NFL in Sean McVay's offense, replacing a bottom 10 quarterback. Come on. Like, look.
Yeah.
Okay. Eric, come on.
Look, -7. Look, fine.
All I have to say about it is the Rams are a good team. They're still a talented team. They've got good pieces on defense. And then Matthew Stafford, he's getting to be on the older side. He's had his share of health issues, but he can still sling that football. And he knows the Bears really well. He knows that defense really well. Sean McVay's a great coach. you really can't deny it. So if you look at it from all categories, the Rams, look like they're ready to roll. Their window might not be as, wide as other teams might be in terms of the age of the quarterback and whatnot. But, on paper, they look like a good football team, and the Bears are they're going to have their hands full. It comes down to me. How well can the defense play against Stafford in that offense, and can the offense score points, which has been a big problem for them against the Rams the past few times they played them. So,
what you're telling me is I need to take the Rams -7.
Yeah.
You think they win by? I'm not going to do that. I just took them. I just put $20 on the Bears to win at +7. I just took them to cover. So we're getting at it. We're getting at it. What's up, Matt?
I wanted to chime in real quick. I did some analysis on this game and looking at against the spread odds with early season, how Sean McVay has done early in the season compared to what Matt Nagy's been doing recently. Sean McVay he's going into his 5th year. In week 1, during his week 1 games, he is 4-0 against the spread. And in weeks 1 and 2, he is 7-1 against the spread during his time as head coach of the Rams. So the Rams get off to an extremely fast start, and they are just they cover the spread a lot early in the season under Sean McVay. And if you look at the past 2 years with Matt Nagy, since the hype season, the 2018 Matt Nagy first, season, everything, opponents versus him are 21-11-1 against the spread against Matt Nagy. So
Damn.
I'm going to continue with that trend. Rams starting off fast, Bears not being great. Andy Dalton, I'm taking the Rams -7.
Kevin got nervous all of a sudden.
I'm sweating. Well, you know what? I'm a true Bears fan, so I'm taking them. Hey, a couple other things, Matt. Looking at offensive rookie of the year, I see Fields is the second highest favorite behind Trevor Lawrence to win that one. That's on. I'm using FanDuel. I don't know. Do you use FanDuel, or I'm assuming you do. You use a couple of them, but
yeah. Shop around. That's my biggest advice to a lot of people. Try to get the best odds, of course. PointsBet a lot of times has really good odds on there. But FanDuel, DraftKings,
yeah, they do have good stuff.
See what you can get the best price.
I'm looking at Fields right now, +500 to win NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's ahead of Wilson, Trey Lance, Mac Jones, and Kyle Pitts. I think that's a fair bet for Fields just because we don't know if Mac Jones is going to start. Zach Wilson plays in a bad offense. Trey Lance or Mac Jones isn't going to start. Sorry, I got those confused. Trey Lance, we don't know if he's going to start. We don't know. So honestly, Fields at +500 is not a terrible bet because I think we're all in the same boat that Fields is going to play pretty early. We just don't know when that's going to be. So are you steering away from that one, or are you going towards it?
I have not bet NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year yet. I haven't placed a bet on anything so far.
Okay, so if you were to do it, though, would you
be really unpredictable? If I were to do it, if the lines are sitting the way they are right now, and I have them up here as well, I probably would go with Justin Fields because I feel like he has the talent around him. I feel like, honestly, right behind Trevor Lawrence, he's the best quarterback in this draft and the most ready to play. I also feel like he has a lot of upside with his mobility and the offensive line around him. I think it's going to be better and improved. Trevor Lawrence's offensive line is not great. And there's risk for injury there a lot with Trevor Lawrence. And plus that number, +270, is just too small for me to bet anything into that. Wilson, as you said, is playing a system that really isn't that great. And Lance, we don't know if he's going to start. Jones, we don't know if he's going to start. Fields probably won't, but he's going to be in there eventually. So, yes, I would take Fields.
Yeah, I think he's the best bet. I just looking too at the Bears' offensive pieces. They just have better offense than Jacksonville. They have way better talent. They have Allen freaking Robinson and David Montgomery. I just think alone that will help. And the NFL tends to really love these running quarterbacks. I mean, it's the way the league is shifting. If Fields is going to run the ball and score a lot of rushing touchdowns, I mean, I think he'll run away with it at some.
I could definitely see that happening.
No, I agree, man. What else are you looking at? Do you have any other fun bets? So you're taking the Rams week 1. You haven't looked at NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. Have you looked at MVPs? Obviously, No Bears going to win MVP this year, but are you looking at like what are some of your favorite bets right now going on in the NFL season, and what should we get Eric and Drew to bet on?
Well, I'll tell you some Super Bowl bets I've already placed, and I don't like to go with chalky type of plays. I'm talking things like, Buffalo Bills right now, Tampa Bay, Kansas City, these things that don't have really great odds on them. I like to take shots with maybe longer shots that I think have a potential to really pay out dividends in the end. Some I've already placed right now, the LA Chargers with Justin Herbert and the fact that Anthony Lynn is gone. Anthony Lynn was a running joke to me for the longest time. I love making fun of Anthony Lynn and his one-score games with the Chargers. I really like what they did in the draft. Herbert is a beast. Brandon Staley, I think, is going to be really good as a head coach with the Chargers. So I took them plus 3,500, 35-1. I think that is really good odds for a team that's as talented as the Chargers are. I know their division is tough. Miami Dolphins, I have them plus 3,000 at 30-1. I think they improve significantly in the draft. It all depends on if Tua is going to play well or not. Obviously, we don't know, but I think it's a bet. Okay, you guys don't like Tua. You guys don't
not
like
a Tua. No, we're not a Tua group.
You're not a Tua group. All right. Well, I place Miami Dolphins at 30-1 because I think they have the potential. I'm not saying it's going to hit, obviously, but it's a longer shot. I think they have the potential and the talent in a division that's kind of weaker. I expect some regression from the Buffalo Bills as well. And then the Carolina Panthers. I really like the Panthers. Again, really nice draft. I like what they did. Their defense is improving significantly over this offseason, and Darnold just has to take his next steps forward. We can't have the same Sam Darnold we had in New York. I'm betting that Darnold gets better. Their defense is improved, and I like the Panthers' chances in that division. And then Washington football team is the last one I have written down here. That is an elite defense, elite caliber type defense. They have stability at the quarterback position now with Ryan Fitzpatrick. They won the division last year with, Alex Smith at quarterback, and Alex Smith really wasn't that great for them, and they still won the division last year. I know Dak Prescott's coming back, but that defense for the Cowboys is atrocious. I don't trust it. And I will take a long shot at 60-1 odds for the football team to win the Super Bowl. So Those are some long shot Super Bowl bets I placed.
Wow, that is a long shot. I love the bold. All right, so just go ahead. I need to do one last thing for you. Need to get Eric and Drew's information written down, and then we got to get them signed up for accounts. And then they can you have to sign up at the casino now. So I'm sure these guys look like they love to go to the casino.
Oh yeah.
So we'll
Look, I'll say this, man. There was a time a couple of years ago where I would go to the casino every so often just to walk around, play a little bit of 21 at times, and I was bad at it. So then I just stopped going.
Oh man, I mean that's what happens a lot of times.
You'll love. I was talking to my family about they want to do a vacation at some point. I'm like, week 5, let's go to Vegas, Bears, Raiders. And I don't know if I'll be able to get in the game because those ticket prices are absurd. But I'll sit in front of a sports book in Vegas and bet. That would be so much fun. I'm fully vaccinated. I'm going to go down there and have a good time. Nice. And I think that's going to be our I'm not a huge gambler. I do enjoy the sports part of it. It is fun to get some fun bets in there. So I respect the pits, Matt. As always, thanks for popping on. We appreciate it. Your inaugural run. We're going to have you back on very shortly. So I want to let you one thing before I go. What do you think of that? What do you think of this guy for MVP? Huh?
Oh yeah, no Blake Bortles. No, Blake.
There we go.
Yeah. So much. Here's a guy. Yeah, no, I'm not. Thanks. So I will see all of you next time on here. Thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, man. Take care. That's Matt Horner. He's great at covering gambling. I remember he's just got some great stuff that you can find on his Twitter if you're getting into gambling at all. He follows that stuff religiously. I don't. I place a couple bets a week for fun, really low wager. I'm not super into it, but it is a lot of fun when the NFL season comes around because you get way more into the games and you can just sit down on a Sunday and enjoy yourself. So, well, let's hop back in after we got some odds on there. I put money down on the Bears to win Week 1, so
The
pray
Bears
for
to
me there.
win or the Bears to cover?
Well, yeah, they got to cover. I put them down to cover. I took them +7.
Just took
So
+7. Okay, gotcha. I mean,
I was feeling confident. We'll see.
Whew.
Maybe I should have just taken them to win, or maybe I'll just do that now. I'll do both.
YOLO it, man.
We're gonna, before the season is up, I promise you, we're gonna get you hooked on it. I promise. We were talking about the Derby last week, and you went down to the Derby a couple times, Drew. Have you ever placed a bet on a horse?
Nah, man. Look, all right. Here's the deal. I am very good at predicting outcomes. I just don't bet on them. I don't know. I can't get myself to do it. I can't get myself to do it. So it's fine.
All right. Okay. All right. I'll talk to you again next episode, and eventually we'll get there. Baby steps.
Down slowly.
Baby steps. I'm gonna be like, hey man, I just won a lot of money. You should get on it. But the other big news of the week that we want to briefly wrap up with, Packers and Aaron Rodgers still at odds. I've talked to a couple more people about it, and it's like everyone's saying the same thing. Gutekunst is, we're now that we're past June 1st, it's less money to trade him. They wouldn't take as much of a hit, so we could see potentially a move here. I don't think he gets traded. I just think he straight up sits out, and I think he gets, he'll move on after this year. He just looks like he's at peace with his life, and he's talked about it a bunch, and he's obviously not at OTAs, but I say obviously, but did you guys know that he has never missed an OTA? He's been at all of them in his career before this year.
Which should tell you something.
That is important. Yeah. Also, all of the starting offense, I mean, Devontae Adams and Equinemius St. Brown and folks like that aren't there either. So there's clearly some fire behind the smoke. And, I think I've told you guys before, I won't believe it until I actually see the news, just because there's always that, probably that sick satisfaction that Rodgers is going to get by like, surprise, I'm here. And then he just fucks the Bears, 2 weeks in the season just because that's what Rodgers does. But, until that happens, I'm going to be a little bit skeptical. But, I mean, there really does appear to be some significant fire here. And if Rodgers either gets traded or sits out or whatever it is, that would be huge. But it appears the Packers are ready to call his bluff, according to some of the reports that have come out. So, I mean, if they're thinking like, okay, Aaron, you're saying you're going to leave. Let's prove it. I don't know if Rodgers is willing to do that now that it's like an open challenge instead of more like, hey, please come back. It's more like, yeah, I'd like to see you try leaving us. Maybe he'll take that as a challenge and come back and, ruin the league again. But I don't know. It's going to be fascinating.
The thing with Rodgers is, he really doesn't have anything left to accomplish in the league. If you really think about it, he's made over $250 million just in his player earnings. He's 38 years old. He's been a 3-time MVP. He's got his ring. What's there left to do? I mean, yeah, you can pursue another Super Bowl. This team is, good enough to do that. But, in his mind, is that really worth going through, the headaches of dealing with Gutekunst and them? And apparently with him, it's not. And I can totally understand that. And I'm always reminded of a great line by Emmitt Smith. I don't know if I've mentioned it here before. It's a very simple one. Once you start poking at a guy's love for the game, it's over. Yeah. And I believe he was talking about Barry Sanders' early retirement, way back when. So it's the same concept with Rodgers. They're starting to mess with his love for the game with all these headaches. So, training camp, just like with Robinson, is going to be the definitive deadline. If he doesn't show up at training camp, then you definitely know that he's deadly serious about this entire situation.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something? I think the fine is $50,000 a day or something like that for each day that he misses training camp. It's in that ballpark. That would just be crazy.
He'll find that, like in between his couch cushions or something.
Or what'll happen is, yeah, exactly. Or what'll happen is they'll just make up and they'll give it back to him in a signing bonus down the road. They're not actually going to find this guy. Like they'll say they will, but
they'll definitely find him. But
they'll give him his money back. You don't think they'll give him his money back?
The thing with Rodgers is, he has career opportunities lined up for him after football easily. I mean, you look at what Romo made from CBS or whatever. Rodgers can easily make that for one of the other networks, or he can go on Jeopardy and make a pretty penny doing that. So, I don't think he's worried about the money too much because he's going to be making money after football anyway. So it comes down to, ego and pride and all that stuff. Who's going to blink first? Is it going to be him or is it going to be the Packers? And, we're still waiting to see.
I think it's going to be him. I think he's going to blink first, and I think he's just going to end up sitting out. I don't think he's going anywhere. You don't trade the MVP of the league. It just it doesn't happen. And they would set themselves up and set a precedent for future generations of quarterbacks and good players. Like, hey, we trade away our good talent, and I don't think they want to set that precedent. I'm going to stand by that. I think he sits out. I think they keep him, and they just find him whatever amount it's going to be.
Jordan Love, Andy Dalton. Lambeau Field primetime game. Let's go.
Let's do this.
Let's go. All right, fellas. Hope you guys had a great Memorial Day weekend too. Hope you guys have been having some fun out there. Have you been to any Cubs games or White Sox games yet? Anybody go?
No, not as yet. No. I haven't been in town a lot, but I was actually in Wisconsin this Memorial Day weekend. I was out in Madison.
Oh, nice.
The House on the Rock, which is super cool, and a little bit of Lake Geneva with the parents and sister. It was nice, but man, I'll tell you what, in Lake Geneva area, you walk into every store and there was a lot of joke type T-shirts making fun of the Cubs and making fun of the Bears, and I was like, these guys are losing Aaron Rodgers. What are they joking about?
Yeah, their baseball team's not too good either. They're
right.
So they have some of the Brewers have some of the cheapest owners in all of sports. They've had good teams and they just don't spend any money. And then they're like, oh, we were so close. I don't know what we could have done different. And it's like, go out and get Trevor Bauer. Go out and spend, and I'm gonna be saying the same thing about the Ricketts a little bit, but at least they've spent money on players before. The Brewers are just a mess. Next time a Brewers fan says anything, all you got to do is show them the picture of the National League Wild Card Champions flag that they fly in their stadium. Sad.
Now, I'll say this. I've taken personal happiness in Christian Yelich's failures ever since he quote tweeted that Yu Darvish tweet and was like, no one needs help fixing you. Like, fuck off, Yelich. And since then, he's been shit. So that part's...
he's been hurt. He's been hurt this year, but you're right. I would agree. It's good to see. Well, I went to one game and I froze. I was going to go today after work, but I was so tired. I'm doing this 4 a.m. commute to work because I have to get to GN at now 4, so I'm leaving at my house at 2. I'm moving down to the city in a month, so that'll make it easier. But as soon as I'm down there, you'll see me at Wrigley all the time, and probably go to Soldier here every once in a while too. We were talking about maybe doing some fun shows from there, so a lot of fun stuff coming up. Can't wait. We're under 100 days until kickoff of the opening season. It's going to be fun. The Bears are going to be, they're going to be. I know I said it last episode. I didn't think they're going to have as good of a team, but I'm still excited. I think it'll be a fun year regardless. So
by the time we get to training camp, you're going to be like, let's go 12-5. Let's go. So
yeah, I'm gonna be fired up. You're right. You know me. You know me too well. We've done a few episodes. You already know me too well. Final thoughts before we get out of here, guys.
Look forward to more about OTAs. I will be down at a wedding the next. It's an Indian wedding, so it'll be 3 days of events starting tomorrow. So I head to Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, that's cool.
So I will be kind of off the grid. So I won't be following what's happening in OTAs. So I'll be reading your guys' stuff.
I can run your Twitter for you if you want. You just send me the stuff.
Please don't. Look. I have taken great care to not be a meatball account or any sort of excitedness account, except for Jay Cutler. I don't need you ruining that, man.
Oh yeah, I would ruin that. I would definitely ruin that. I've been fired up about the Cubs. Eric, anything?
Honestly, just gonna continue to focus on the quarterback derby. How's Andy Dalton progressing now that he's on the practice field alongside Justin Fields? Are they looking good in their reps? There's really not much you can talk about with the offensive and defensive lines because that's going to have to wait till training camp. So it's going to be all about the quarterbacks, the receivers, defensive backs, all that stuff. And, the veterans being away is actually probably a blessing in disguise because the younger players are going to be able to get more reps and maybe, make an impression. So that's going to be a fun thing to follow.
for sure.
Absolutely.
Wide receiver battle. I think you mentioned that, Eric, but that'll be fun. And then in that highlight video you showed to open the show, there were 2 throws that we were able to see actually go to their target, both thrown by Andy Dalton, both perfectly thrown passes. So I'm telling you guys, it's going to be setting records this year.
That's just good editing.
That's good.
That's just good editing. We're on the Justin Fields train. I hope Andy Dalton succeeds, but I hope he starts like the first game, and then we're on to Cincinnati. We're on to Justin Fields.
On to Cincinnati. They'll be on to Cincinnati. So they'll literally be on to Cincinnati. So well done.
Oh, I love this show. We're gonna end on that. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Go give us all a follow. Club Dub Podcast at Drew Cole, at Eric Lamberts. At Wells15 Kevin. Go give Matty Betts a follow too. He does great with all of his stuff. And again, we thank him for being on. All right, guys, until next time, we'll chat in a few weeks.
See you guys.
Go Bears, baby.
Later.